I'm going to talk about the type of camera that's going to be great for the type of photography that you use, all those different types of cameras. What are the considerations that you have? So let's get started with that and talking about the right camera. And of course, this is one of those things where I get asked all the time. I mean, all of the time. Lindsay, I have this type of budget. What type of camera do I buy? And there isn't really a right answer. I wish I could tell you at the end of this segment, yep, this is the 1, 2, or 3 camera you should get, but new technology is always coming out, and depending on the type of portraits you do, the type of work you do, there might be a different or better solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you as much information, and also, I think even more importantly, I'm going to give you the right questions to ask yourself, and then if you go to a camera store, the right questions to ask them, or the right questions to look up online. And so here are some of those basic, those fundamental questions. And the first one, of course, is what is your budget? But it's a little bit more complicated than just how much money do you have to spend here and now. What you need to ask yourself as far as what is your budget is there's a difference between budget in the near term and budget in the future. Because let's say that you have $1,500 to spend today on a camera system, and that's all you ever want to spend. You're going to buy something very different than if you have $1,500 now, but over the next few years you might want to invest more money. Maybe you have $2,000 or $3,000 to invest in the future. So what's your budget is actually a little bit more complicated than that. And I'm going to advise you on how to spend that money as well. The next question that we have are, what are your photographic goals? Are you doing this for fun? Are you going to be a professional? Are you an aspiring professional? And then, of course, a very important question is, what subjects do you shoot? Because, of course, many of us aren't going to just shoot portraits. Yes, this is a portrait boot camp, but you might shoot portraits and then also do some sports work, or maybe you do some architectural photography, and that is going to change the type of camera that is right for you. So you need to start off by answering these 3 questions, really asking yourself these questions, and that will help you make a more informed decision. So let's continue on this. I was talking about these kind of key groups. The hobbyist, if you're just a hobbyist, you're going to be able to get away with spending less money because you just want to make some good quality photographs, maybe to have a little bit more control. But if you are an enthusiast or you want to become a professional photographer, you're going to need some gear that can meet higher demands, even more control, better picture quality. And then, of course, if you are a professional, you're going to demand a lot more out of your gear. And so I'm sure, as you assumed, as you go down the line there, you're probably going to need to spend more money, but that doesn't need to be a lot of money. So I'll give you advice on that subject matter. So remember, it's not just the camera, it's also lenses and accessories and all of those things. And so certain camera systems, you're going to be able to purchase lenses less expensively and accessories less expensively. So it's all kind of lumped together in that. All right, so let's talk about all of the different types of cameras that exist. And they come into all of these different categories. So let's really just start from least expensive or perhaps more basic to more advanced. So first and foremost, you have your point and shoot cameras. And there are a lot of good point and shoot cameras out there. I mean, your iPhone, your camera phone is really a point and shoot camera. And nowadays, there are actually point and shoots that give you some pretty advanced capabilities. But in general, a point and shoot is going to be smaller sensor sizes, not as good quality of images, maybe not as fast of autofocus. Typically, you don't have interchangeable lenses. This would be for someone that just wants to take some nice photos of their friends and families. But if you're trying to get a little bit more advanced, maybe make some money or take beautiful, more professional looking portraits, you're probably gonna have to step up the line from this. So the next thing that you have up the line is going to be your advanced point and shoots or your mirrorless cameras. And so for these, some of these point and shoots or these mirrorless cameras, also some of them are known as micro four thirds, you're going to be able to have interchangeable lenses. There are some pros and cons of these as well. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this segment. And then after that, you have your consumer/prosumer cameras. For Canon, this would be something like a Canon 7D, or maybe even the Canon 5D Mark III, which goes into more of the pro range. So what these cameras are going to allow you to do is they're going to allow you to produce professional quality images where you are able to take complete control over everything. Your aperture, your shutter speed, the image quality, it's going to work with a lot of accessories, a lot of interchangeable lenses. And so this is what probably is going to be appropriate for most of you. Now, for the rest of the boot camp, a lot of what I'll be talking about is going to be applied to these sorts of cameras. I'm going to talk about Micro Four Thirds in a second. This is not to say that those cameras aren't worthy, but I'll be addressing the mass market, which really these prosumer cameras are going to be ideal for.